everybody, how is it going? Today we are going to be checking out an album from Devin Townsend called Transcendence. Before we get into the album, kind of want to give you a little bit of backstory on what Devin's been doing in the last couple albums. Now, on Epiclouder, what he did was he had his main album, and then he released the second bonus album called Epiclouder. And then for Z2, Ziltoid 2, he kind of did the same thing. He had Sky Blue, which was the non-Ziltoid album, and then he had Ziltoid to itself. And he did the same exact thing with Transcendence. He has Transcendence, the main album, and then he has Transcendence, the bonus album. The reason I bring this up, because what's kind of been happening is, like, the second album of every album has actually been the better one. So Epiclouder was actually a little bit better than Epicloud, which I loved Epicloud. Epicloud was awesome. Then with Z2, Sky Blue, honestly, Sky Blue was kind of lame. I kind of just felt like he just threw that together to hand to the record label. Say, here, market this while I actually make the album I really want to make, which is Z2. And I kind of really feel like that's what he's been doing. The bonus album is what he really wants to do. It's his more experimental stuff. And then the first album, the main album, it's safe. It's very straight to the point. Now, with Transcendence, you kind of have that here, but the first album is pretty good, and the second album is just a little bit better. So let's get into the album. So the first track on the album, on the first disc, is Truth, which it's a very cool opening track. It's very big. It's very massive. It isn't really per se like a full song. It's kind of more or less like an introduction song of the entire album. It kind of gives you a feel for what everything you're gonna have. Next song is Stormbending. This is a very awesome song. It's very nice. It has a very Rush sounding chorus. It's more vibey. That's the one of the more vibey songs in the album. Now, Failure is actually the first single that they released, and something really awesome in this song is it's actually a solo. Devin is actually a really good guitar player, but he doesn't actually he hasn't used leads and solos all that much in the past. Now, in this way, the solo is this little wah solo during the bridge. The bridge is very quiet and broke it down, and it's not very wanky solo. It's just kind of like, it's very melodic, the best way I can put it. So the next song up is Secret Sciences, and this is where Devin's partner singer, if you want to call that, Anna, let's just call her Anna, she's been on a lot of his albums, and she shows up here. Now, she doesn't show up as much as she does in other albums, but she does show up. This song has a very big poppy chorus. It sounds awesome. This one actually has a solo in it too, but it's a lot more involved and it's a lot more busy than what Failure was. Higher, the next song after Secret Sciences is Higher. Higher is one of my favorite songs on this album. Now, it's actually a 9-minute song, but it doesn't feel like it's 9 minutes. It kind of goes through a couple of different little movements here and there, and it actually has I call it a periphery sounding part, and it's kind of what it reminds me of. It's actually and this song is actually one of the harder tracks on the album. Now, speaking of periphery, Adam Nolly Get Good actually produced and mixed this record, which you can definitely feel the influences there, because the production is super awesome. It sounds amazing. Anyway, after Higher, the next track is Stars. Stars is now since Higher was Higher was high energy. Stars is a little bit more laid back. It's extremely laid back. The song kind of reminds me of something that could have appeared on Devin's other album, Ghost and Deconstruction. I find this first album is kind of if you took Deconstruction and Ghost and you merged them together, this is what I feel like would have happened. Next track is the title track, Transcendence. It starts off with a really big fanfare, and Anna sings again on this one. And Transcendence is it's very vibey. It's kind of like a lot of the other tracks. It's just very Devin-y, very layered, very big. You got a big chorus going on. It's kind of, honestly, more of the same, but it's kind of in that same vein. Then you have Offer Your Light, which is another one of my favorites. This one is super high energy. It starts off with this cool little synth riff going on. It's upbeat. And then Anna sings again on this one too. This song is really cool. It's a good contrast to Transcendence. And then the next song after Offer Your Light, which Offer Your Light is 3 minutes. It's not as long as Higher, but it's still one of the cooler songs. Then the next song after that is From the Heart. Now, this is as I call it, it's Devin's love song on this album. I find every album or so he'll throw a love song in there. It isn't so much sappy, but he'll have a love song in there. This one's more laid back. It's more chill. It's actually really good, but once again, it's his love song. And after From the Heart, you have Transdermal Celebration, which is actually a Ween cover, which I actually didn't know because the way Devin does it, it sounds like a Devin song. This song is actually kind of, the main part of it is kind of short. It's about, I guess, 2 to 3 minutes, and after that, it just kind of he just lets it fade out. He ends the first album like that, which it's a good way to end it. I wish it would have ended on a higher note, but that's just how it is. Now, let's roll on to the second disc because in my opinion the second disc is the real album, and this is really what he wanted to write. The very first song on that second album is Gump. It's very upbeat, and this is the first taste we get of actually an actual pounding in your face metal song. Devin goes high, he screams on it has a cool synth solo in it. It's a great way to start off the second disc. One of my favorite songs out of both discs. And after that, you have Celestial Signs, which it has this total 80s beat to it. And it makes you want to do this. It has synths. And this entire second album has this massive 80s feel to it, which is really cool. It's not very cheesy, but he takes the good part of the music from the 80s and he slaps it in here and he mixes it with metal, and it's really cool. After that, the next one up is Support the Cause. Once again, very big, very layered, very 80s sounding, and it's kind of similar to Celestial Signs, but it's a little bit more 80s feeling. Then after that, you have Into the Sun, which starts off with this cool polyrhythmic beat, which is the first time I actually hear that out of both albums, because Devin kind of toned it down a lot, and everything was a little bit more straightforward. So Into the Sun is cool. It has a very big poppy chorus, which is it's very contrast to the actual verse, because the verse is actually very fast. Then after Into the Sun, you have Time Overload, which starts off with a clock, and you have these cool sounding like 80s sound effects going on, which is this song kind of reminds me of like a Phil Collins song, honestly. Like pull it, you could have slapped this on a Phil Collins record, and it would have sounded like it belonged there. Lexus is the next song after Time Overload, and this song should be called "Living a Lie" because you have that really cool line, that lyric line there, which is really catchy. It's honestly one of the coolest parts of the second disc. Once again, very 80s sounding. After Lexus, you have Farther On, which is actually this one's actually really short, and it's one of the more laid back tracks on here. I honestly would say it's kind of forgettable, and the fact that there's nothing in that song that really kind of makes me remember it per se. So I guess you could say this is actually the weakest song out of the two albums, which is kind of ridiculous considering he wrote that much stuff on a one release. Then after Farther On, you have Victim, which starts off with some polyrhythmic drums and some crazy effects going on. Once again, 80s vibe, has a lot of energy, and it sounds like something that could have been on Deconstruction. It's very, very fast, and it's very gritty. One of my faves on the second album. Now, the next one up is called Monkey Mind, which is an instrumental. It's actually really, really cool because the melody that they have in there, it kind of reminds you of like a monkey, or like someone with like a crazy mind who's bouncing around doing a bunch of stuff. It fits it kind of well. It's kind of cool that we got an instrumental. I don't remember the last time Devin really put out an instrumental like that, especially a metal one. This one's high energy. It's cool, really awesome. Sorry, I use awesome again. I'm sorry, I use it all the time. After Money Mine, you have Knucklehead. I think I pronounced that right. Which this song is actually the funnest track out of both albums because it has this like classic rock progression and beat to it, and it seriously like you could almost like line dance or dance to it, which is kind of funny. And it's just a fun song. It has this cool, like I said, cool progression, and the lyrics are kind of they're very straightforward. Then after Knucklehead, which is fun, the last track is Loud, which it's actually not loud. It's actually very soft. It's a ghost song. It's what it is, like a ghost in Deconstruction. It's a ghost song. It takes you right out, and it's a little bit better ending than what the first track was with Transdermal Celebration. It takes you right out. Overall, this album is actually really cool. It's amazing that he can write two albums like this that are both really good. First album is really polished. It's very straightforward. The next album is a little more looser. It's a little bit more fun. First album, I'm going to give a 4.5 out of 5. And then the next album, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. So I guess you could say the average of both albums would be a 4.5 out of 5. It's some of his best stuff since Ghost and Deconstruction, I can say. Z2 is alright, but it left me kind of wanting more. I really liked Epicloud. I really liked Apple Cloud, but it wasn't as good as Ghost and Deconstruction. But I feel like he hit a stride here. Also, I forgot to mention he let the band write a lot of the stuff, so it wasn't just him giving these songs to the band and then the band played it. But you can honestly really tell that they did that because this album has a more fun feel to it, and it isn't rough around the edges. Like sometimes whenever one person writes the music, it feels rough around the edges and it feels kind of forced in some places. But this, it transitions well. It feels very nice. What do you think about the album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'm sorry if this ran too long. I tried to get through it, but there's a lot of tracks I had to talk about. Anyway, I'm out. Peace.